Assalamualaikum and good evening to Madam Asma. Today, we will present our group assignment entitled Cost of Living Crisis in United Kingdom for the year 2022 until 2023. Our group has 4 members. First, Eleni Alice Daphne. Second is Dina Batusha. Third is Nurdia Dania Mirza. And the fourth one is Nurin Zuhairina Hasha. The United Kingdom is a developed country with a strong and advanced economy. However, between 2022 and 2023, the UK experienced a serious cost of living crisis that affected millions of households. During this period, prices of essential goods and services increased rapidly due to high inflation, particularly cost-push inflation. As a result, basic necessities such as energy, food and transportation became more expensive. This crisis was mainly caused by rising global energy prices following the Russia-Ukraine war, which disrupted energy supplies across Europe. Since the UK relies heavily on imported energy, production costs and household bills increased significantly. In addition, the depreciation of British pound raised the cost of imported goods, further increasing inflation and reducing consumers' purchasing power. The objective of this assignment is to examine the UK cost of living crisis as a macroeconomics issue, focusing on cost-push inflation, its causes and effects, as well as the government's policy responses.
So now I'll explain the causes of the UK cost of living crisis. So first, the surge in global energy. After the war in Ukraine started, gas prices rose by 129%. Since Russia is the major supplier of gas, the war causes shortages in the supply. This forced businesses to raise their own prices just to pay their utility bills. And second, the British pound lost its value against the US dollar. Since we buy things like food and oil from abroad using dollars, a weak pound made everything imported much more expensive. And finally, there was a shortages in the labor market. Many people left their jobs after the pandemic. To find staff, companies had to offer a higher pay and they raised the price of their goods to cover those higher wages.
So now let's move on to the effect of the UK cost of living crisis in 2022 until 2023. First, inflation rose sharply after the COVID-19 pandemic as demand recovered faster than supply, especially for energy and raw materials. By October 2022, inflation reached 11.1%, causing price to rise faster than the wages. Second, the cost of essential goods like energy and food also increased. Global supply disruption and the war in Ukraine drove up gas, electricity, and food price hitting low-income households the hardest. Third, the crisis had social and psychological effects. Consumer confidence fell sharply and many households experienced stress and anxiety, leading them to cut back on non-essential spending. Finally, the wider economy was affected. Higher costs and weaker demand reduced business profit for some firms to close and increased economic instability across the UK.
To overcome the UK cost of living crisis, several solutions were implemented. Firstly, the Bank of England used monetary policy by increasing interest rates to reduce inflation and control demand. Next, the government introduced fiscal policy, which is energy price caps and bill support to protect households from rising energy costs. Thirdly, targeted payments were given to vulnerable groups such as low-income households, pensioners, and disabled people to help them afford essential goods. Lastly, long-term measures such as investing in renewable energy aim to reduce dependence on imported energy and prevent future crises.
In conclusion, the UK cost of living crisis from 2022 to 2023 was mainly driven by cost-push inflation caused by higher energy prices, a weaker British pound and labour shortages. These factors increased production and import costs, leading to higher prices for goods and services. The crisis placed heavy financial pressure on households, especially low-income groups, as energy and food prices rose sharply. At the same time, businesses faced higher cost and weaker demand, which slowed economic growth and increased the risk of job losses. To manage the crisis, the UK government and the Bank of England introduced monetary and fiscal policies such as interest rate increases, energy support schemes, and targeted financial aid. In the long term, investing in renewable energy and improving energy efficiency are important to reduce dependence on imports and prevent similar crises in the future. That's all from us. Thank you so much.